Hello YouTube.
Hello YouTube.
Welcome back to my channel. I have a very special guest here on this episode of Talk Talk Tuesday.
What's poppin'?
It's Half Moon Bay.
Yeah, it's Half Moon Bay. What's poppin'? I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on Talk Talk Tuesday. It's an honor.
Thank you for being here. So if anyone is not familiar, this is me, baby. And we are currently on a little trip up north in Woodside in the Redwoods. We're at this amazing Airbnb that has an outdoor hot tub, and I actually had no intentions of filming a Tub Talk Tuesday on this trip until I saw this, and I was like, this is a pretty spacious tub. And I just feel like we share just very similar spiritual values and just perspective on life. So I think it would be really dope for us to share just our individual and shared thoughts on today's topic, which is trusting the process.
Yeah, trusting the process.
What is the process?
What is the process? I feel as though the process is the point from A to B from in any experience. And I feel that sometimes you might be at A. You can kind of always be at A for something and then want to get to B, and sometimes you don't even know what that is or what that looks like or what you see it as. But as long as you can have that feeling of what B will be like in comparison to A, I feel like that's what will got you to there. So part of the process sometimes is not even knowing, but then the process once you do know is there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel like, just to kind of reiterate that in a different way, I feel like the process is really just how the journey comes to be.
Well,
because the process can sometimes be the process of traveling from LA to Woodside. Yeah. Or it can be the process of learning a new skill. So it can be a very physical experience, travel destination, or it can be a mental or a spiritual experience within yourself. But it's really saying point A to some point B. Yeah. And sometimes you have a very clear vision of what point B is, of what we know that we're going to the forest, to stay at this Airbnb that we booked. We have an address, so there's kind of no way that we don't think we're going to get there. And sometimes you just know, at the end of the day, I want to be a happier, more fulfilled person. Yeah. And you don't know what that will look like if that's not how you, already feel. So that's the process. Is the in-between, those two. So I feel like in our life, we have specifically been through challenges individually as a unit, and a lot of the times we don't really fully understand why is this happening,
what's going on, or what's happening next.
Or even understand what that situation might be teaching us. But something that I feel like both of us always fall back on is just this philosophy of trusting the process, because deep down in both of ourselves, in our soul, in our spirit, we know that
I feel we know that we're protected in a sense, and we know that the only things that can come are something really positive, as we might perceive it right now, or something really positive as we may perceive it upon reflection. Yeah,
so it might be challenging in the moment and stressful or whatever, but then we always end up overcoming it, we always push through, and then we're oh, okay. And, deeper, widening perspective, and sometimes it's damn, did I really have to learn it that way? But then you can laugh at it,
Oh, that's really
so I feel even with trusting the process too is having this very deep understanding within yourself of who you are as a person and how you want your life to play out, what is the intention of your life.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself that at the end of the day, regardless of however I flow through life, like, I will always be happy, protected, and like walk through love,
Yeah.
then those are like the foundational principles that will essentially like
That'll, like,
guide you.
steps.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
love
like
that.
when all shit goes and like hits the fan or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's what
and
you
you
can
don't
like call back to. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, as long as I'm in line with like these things
Mhm.
that like are in line with who I am, then I know I'm taking the right steps. I feel like part of what a process for like anything could be is like small decisions, little journeys that you might have to take that are like, I don't really know what to do, but yeah, when you can know who you are through it and you can say like, at this time when I had to make this decision, I felt good, or I felt like that was the best that I can do. I feel like that's pretty much all we really can do, and that's all we can expect of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so much more than enough, and then we're always able to, anything that comes from that place can only be exactly what you either want it to be or what we need it to be.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for real. And then I also feel like for us specifically, like we have a very deep like spiritual practice and like health, I guess. Like we are very like spiritually healthy. Something that I believe helps us have this strong like trust or faith in the process is knowing that we are protected by the universe. We are protected by source energy, by God, by our ancestors, by our angels. Like there's a lot of magic in this experience of like being a human on earth, and I think that when we remove ourselves from the present moment and we aren't as mindful and we get too caught up in the grains as he likes to call it, it becomes very easy to then like have a weak trust in that everything will like work out, or that
I feel that.
ooh little critters out here trying to join the tub talk. But they be trusting the process too.
No, yeah, facts, dude. I heard spiders, like, the way they create their webs is like, while they're creating it, if it's any wind, they just go like in the direction
They
of the
just
wind.
flow.
Yeah, fully.
Flow. Wow, that's see,
Yeah.
that was a perfect example of like trusting the process of this video, because we just knew we were gonna talk about trusting the process.
Yeah.
We like had a very like quick 2-minute rundown of what we might talk about, and we were like, we're just gonna go from there. And that's usually how I do these kind of videos, but I learned to trust that process because the universe will like bring those thoughts
And like
in the
guide
perfect
yeah,
like way to
like
transition.
synthesize it and, like,
Yeah,
that's what it
exactly.
needs to be,
So
yeah.
flow, I feel like flow is another like, if there was like another like, this is like the outline of trusting the process. It's like understanding what the process even is, having a foundational faith in yourself, your purpose, and the universe is like protection, and then 3, flow. And
so how do you feel like you follow the flow? Does it start with like yourself? Does it start with
well,
your
I find
feelings?
that usually your emotions are a good indicator if you are in flow
I like that.
in general, because like if you think of like a very like a very tangible thing, like a river, right?
Yeah.
Rivers flow
Yeah.
downstream, and you know they just keep going, like they don't think about it because that's just the course of its nature.
Yeah.
And humans, in the same way, spiritual beings, souls, whatever, also have a natural flow to life, and that I believe is to maintain a nice like equilibrium of emotional,
And just like physical like experience.
but
I
just
feel like we're always supposed to be like cycling through different experience when it comes to like our emotions, when it comes to our physical like reality, when it comes to just like our internal and external worlds. We're always like going through cycles.
no, for sure. And I think that letting our emotions be our guide when, you know, maybe you don't know what's actually going to be happening in the physical experience.
It's so good.
You always have a choice to react to whatever life throws at you with...
Ooh, that's big. Could I like interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like something I like to keep in mind often is the difference between reacting and responding. And I feel like reactions are supernatural. They're almost like instincts, you know.
Like impulsive.
Yeah, almost. And well, impulsive and like even more, because say like you were to step on my toe. Like if I'm someone who's been taught, like if someone steps on your toe, like you have to punch them. You know, like that's kind of
That's
extreme,
extreme.
but like, or like you have to step on their toe back. You
Right.
know,
Or
like,
just like yell, like
yeah, something like that.
get really
like
angry, like
exactly,
an angry response.
exactly. Like my toe getting stepped upon means now I have to be angry. Like that's a reaction. A response is saying like my toe was stepped on. Like how would my higher self like address this situation?
Right.
And then like moving from that place, because I feel like that's who we really are.
Yeah.
And it's a difference.
Ooh, that reminds me. I think I saw this on Tumblr, and it was basically like certain biases or like habitual reactions, things like that, like that we respond to life. Like if the first instinctual reaction to something that maybe is challenging
Yeah.
is to like meet it with like a lower vibrational reaction,
Yeah.
but then you take a moment to reflect and be like, I wish I didn't
No,
react
yeah,
in that
for
way.
sure.
That's like
That shows
kind
who
of
you
like
are.
yeah, that shows like
Yeah.
essentially who you are. So I think it's also important to like not be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, facts.
To know
We
that
all
we
have,
are
like,
very
conditioning
yes,
and,
we're
like,
like
yeah.
hella conditioned by society. It's weird. It's like I don't really understand why it's like that.
It's kind of like mirrors, you know, like we're taught that like what comes at us is what we also have to give out at the same time. That's not really the truth. We can always respond to like anything with whatever we actually desire to respond
Compassion.
with.
Yeah, and I
I
feel
like
like I feel like going back to just flow and trusting the process is
Yeah.
like when you are met with challenging situations, whether that's specifically with another person, with just the situation that you're in general, like in
Yeah.
your environment or just like time and place, whatever,
Yeah.
is if it's something that causes you like distress or frustration, if you know, one, take a minute to physically breathe, take a minute to slow down,
Yeah.
and really look at it objectively, right? Look at the situation objectively. Like, this is just what is happening. Like,
Yeah.
me as this
Oh yeah,
human,
without like attaching like
yeah,
emotions
or
like
a personal,
immediately.
yeah, or
I
not
feel
taking
that.
it personally.
Yeah.
Shout out for agreements. But I feel like once you can, like, one, take a minute to just slow down and realize that you are going through something stressful or frustrating right now, but you have the ability to bring yourself to equilibrium so that you can look at it
That's
from an
big.
objective and just
Ooh,
like
I like the word equilibrium.
and just look at it from a more compassionate perspective or standpoint that like this is just something that is happening. How I am perceiving it and how I am making an emotional reaction to it
Yeah.
is up to me.
That's
and
fair.
I have the choice to choose a higher vibrational
Yeah.
perspective. Like, you know, there are times where like I get frustrated with him and I'm always reminded to take a breath because at the end of the day I know that anything that he might do that might frustrate me is never intentional.
Yeah.
It's usually just maybe there was just like a miscommunication or he didn't hear me or maybe he was distracted and wasn't being as mindful to the present moment or something I was addressing. And you know, I what am I trying to say? Like,
You just like I feel like are mindful with how you address it from that
yeah.
from that point.
And
Yeah.
like I feel like I have
Same, like both of us.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm, you know,
Yeah.
same, literally right before this
Yeah.
trip, we had a whole, like, talk, but at the end of the day, like,
That's
what I
cool.
can always appreciate, even if, like, maybe it doesn't feel good initially to be like, dang, like, we're going through, you know, like, a challenging, like, moment, is that I love the way that we communicate with each other, because the purpose in even us having the conversation is to reach a higher place. It's like, we don't want to experience these things. We want to feel good with each other, to feel understood, to feel connected, and to not repeat the same mistakes that cause us pain.
Oh, I like that. I feel like I could go off that and like bring it back to like the process because that's a beautiful example for when it comes to us, because I feel as though those challenging times, they do bring up stuff in the mind like what's happening, what am I supposed to do, how am I supposed to address this, like I know we're healthy, but what do we, like where do we go from like right here, you know? But I feel like part of me trusting the process when we have times like those is knowing, just coming back to truth, knowing like, okay, we're meant for each other, we're great together. I come back to like gratitude for what's great about our experience, about our way of life, about whatever it might be, and that like brings me back. That way, like, I don't necessarily even have to think about what do I do first. I more so like get back to a place of like, how do I feel when this feels great? And how can I look at whatever challenge this is as a way for, sometimes things could get messy for a sec, for it to get like even cleaner than before, like even better than before.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if I felt really great about us and like everything that we are just an hour ago, but then something came up, it's like, okay, this is an opportunity to feel even better in our relationship. And I feel like that happens like pretty much every time.
Every time. And I think something that also helps just us like know that even if something new, because like that's the reality of relationships and life, is that like you're going to come across challenges because we are full and complete individuals having our own experiences, and we have our traumas from our past, and we have our, things that we're still working on internally. And it's a little silly and naive to think that we're just gonna be great. And no, like, show me someone that hasn't came across like some issues, like butting heads, differences, whatever. But I feel like
it's like necessary.
But it's like that's any challenge. It's necessary because it's showing that there is some element in your life that needs healing or growth, and this is an opportunity to utilize skills that you've learned from your past.
Whoa,
so that you
that's
can
a dope way to say that. Yeah.
so that like you don't have to learn lessons so hard, or it doesn't have to be painful. Like if we don't really even get into arguments, like we don't yell at each other.
Usually our disagreements are like, no one's really wrong.
Yeah.
And we're both kind of right.
And there's no
we're
like
just
blaming. It's just like, I just want you to understand like that action that you did, those words, that the way you said that, maybe it wasn't intentional that you were trying to use that tone. But
facts.
I didn't appreciate it because it triggers, this emotional, feeling inside that makes me feel unloved, and I know that you love me, so let's
address that.
Like let's be more mindful. Let's speak to each other more. He won't hesitate to tell me, can we lower the volume? Like, I don't like the way you're speaking to me. And sometimes I'm not even noticing my tone because that's like a subconscious, automatic response due to like maybe trauma from my past and like similar situations with a different person. But all in all, really all I'm trying to say is that with like those specific examples of like our relationship like challenges, is that because we have obviously had challenges in the past and overcame them every single time to a higher place, it's like every time you get to the top, like you'll reach like a little bit more challenges, but you're like more well equipped to handle those challenges. Like if we were here just as individuals but in a relationship and we had a challenge that was like here, like if we hadn't have gone through like these challenges and like learned those lessons and strengthened those like tools to react better, to be more mindful, then like
it's like you have more to utilize by the time that thing comes up. It's like it won't come up if we haven't already like gotten everything that we would need to be able to climb over it.
That can be applied to all of life. So if you're experiencing challenges in like any aspect of life or the process or your journey, and it's something that feels like it's a cycle that keeps happening, it's 99.99% because you haven't 100% addressed the root of what like that challenge is. And the universe just wants to give you an opportunity to learn it, like to fully just learn the lesson so that you don't have to repeat, or like if a situation might kind of test, like, are you able to like handle this with more flow, more ease, more compassion, like you're able to do that.
Facts.
And
could I offer like a bit of a perspective that helps me like be easy with myself? Is that I feel like sometimes cycles like repeat, and that is an indication that it is something for us to learn from. It is something for us to grow from. And I have this idea that the universe is growing too. God is growing too. Like life is growing to our planet, everything. And so I feel like our
like learning to adapt.
exactly,
as we are, yeah.
exactly as we adapt, because us being here also expands the consciousness of the entire cosmos. So I feel as though like life puts certain things on our path to say, we know this could be like the universe talking to us. Like we know that you should learn this thing, and this would be dope for you to have for the rest of your life, or for whatever season you need this for.
Or you can pass it on to someone that comes
fully.
across your path that might need that wisdom.
Yeah, so I feel like the universe like brings different things to like that it knows might be able to activate that lesson within us. And then sometimes the universe doesn't know the proper thing to like put at the proper time, and so we might not like catch it until it's the right thing to trigger us in the right way to say, oh, this is how I address that. But I feel like when we're able to catch it, like those sooner tries, when the universe is trying to like speak to us, we don't have to like get stung as much.
Yeah. I think that really stems from what I initially addressed, which is having a strong understanding of who you are and your purpose in life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like our relationship with the universe is a very like it's codependent.
Yeah.
So like basically everything that he's saying, it's like, you know, like the universe meets us where we're at.
Yeah.
And if we choose to be like ignorant towards the signs, or we choose to like indulge in like toxic mind states, like behaviors that like keep us at a low vibration, it's gonna make it foggy. It's gonna make it like unclear to really see the truth, or to see the bigger picture. And you just get caught up in all the like fluff. And that's when like, if you can't see that's literally all it is fluff. It's just like, this is just a little bit of haze, but overall like you're good. All is fine. Everything will be great. You couldn't fuck it up if you tried.
That's something I like to say a lot. Is like,
that's his like,
you really couldn't fuck it up if you tried. And I like that a lot, because it puts so much trust in that like higher and like inner self, and that like guidance from that. And I feel like when I keep that in my mind, when I get confused, or if I feel like at what's it called, like crossroads for pretty much anything, I just know that nothing's gonna really hit the fan. Nothing's gonna really like fall too low. Nothing's really gonna like change drastically too much too fast. And especially if I keep that energy, knowing like anything that comes up is what's supposed to come up, so I'm gonna be able to like deal with it as I'm supposed to, how I'm supposed to, when I'm supposed to. I have everything I need. And I feel like that helps me so much.
Yeah, and I feel like that could be like a nice way to kind of like end, you know, like just this thought on trusting the process overall, is just knowing that at the end of the day, like we were saying in the very beginning, sometimes you're not gonna know what the point B looks like, you know, like who's in it, like how you're gonna get there. But knowing that if you have a strong faith in just yourself and like what your story is, like what do you want your story to be like
real.
When your like physical body has deteriorated and become one with the trees and the bees and everything, if you can feel content and happy with how people will remember you, with how you will remember yourself, and how you have, you know, just like carried yourself through the challenges, flowing through life, then like that's all you need. Something that,
could I add to that a little bit? When you say story, I feel like, and we don't have to like go too deep, but like when you say that, like with the story, I feel like a lot of things with addressing fear, sometimes I feel like our minds are, or not even so, sometimes our minds period are just so capable and so powerful of constructing like anything. And a lot of the times, because of our own like traumas and our own conditioning, or like limiting beliefs or mindsets, that a lot of the times wasn't stuff that we placed upon ourselves, we're able to construct like worlds in our minds of like how things are gonna fail, or how things are gonna like not be the best that they can be, or how things could get like really scary. But sometimes like I'll really think about it and look at something in my mind. I'll like notice my mind doing that.
Yeah.
But then like I won't feel good about that, and I feel like pain in any sense, emotional or physical, is indication of like that.
Misalignment.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So if I feel that, then I'm like, I'll feel that so strongly, and I'll be like, okay, that technically should be possible if I look at the situation like that, and like, you know, it might have happened to someone else, but like I'll look and I'll be like, that just doesn't feel like my story.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the key is you're in control.
Yeah.
It's your story. It's
Yeah.
your life. Like, yeah, we're here and we're in it, but like at the end of the day, you're the one that sees the world through the first person point of view,
Facts.
and only you. Like, only I can see the world the way I see it, and only he can see the world the way he sees it. Like, for all we know, green is to me is blue to him, but like
That's a wild thought.
that's beautiful. We don't have to go too
That's
deep
a
in that,
wild thought.
but I think that yes, that's a perfect closing. Like, knowing that if you tell yourself the journey's gonna be difficult, or that, you know, like nothing ever goes right for you, then
That's what we create.
that's what you create. Like, you are.
But if we tell ourselves like we're protected, we
Yeah.
might not know what to do right now, but that's okay. Who really knows what to do right now?
Right.
But, like,
If you keep
somehow
yourself.
we're there, yeah.
Yeah, and then if you
Welcome
just
back to Tub Talk Tuesday with Schmenna, featuring Half Moon Bay.
Yes. So we didn't realize that the end of our video got cut off. So we are here to just synthesize what we were last speaking about that didn't get recorded.
Yeah.
Basically, I was saying how if you know that deep down you're a good person with positive intentions, and you know, like that you're not trying to spread harm or pain to others or the world or the community,
Yeah.
then all is well.
Yeah.
But you were saying,
I was saying how like it's important not to let that also be a crutch in a sense, to not say I'm a good person. Why are bad things happening to me? Why is this life like this? Because life is really just our reflection, and so anything that happens externally can only really be a reflection of something that has already started and seeded internally, and that's, I feel like, why it's not so deep, you know.
yeah, it's just,
It could feel like that, but
yeah,
it really isn't, you know.
yeah, and I feel like what I was kind of saying before in response to that was just like literally challenges in life is really like the universe's kind of like way of speaking to us to allow us a new opportunity to express more compassion, to be a bit more mindful,
to just like expand in
learn
all aspects.
to take the time to go inward and reflect, you know, and be honest with yourself, because sometimes I feel like we might think like, oh, like I'm this really dope person, but then you might let your negative subconscious like thoughts overshadow that like deep truth within yourself, and like you might not actually be very kind. You know, like not like you're an asshole, but like, you know, you might like catch an attitude with people and be unaware of it. You might, you know, some people don't even realize they're like they express toxic kind of like tendencies.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because they might be too in their head and just are projecting those fears or those
that.
like negative.
Then it comes back and it's like, what? I don't deserve that.
Exactly, but it's like, actually, not to make
not necessarily like you do deserve that, but like I feel
it's
like
just showing you a mirror.
Yeah, that's a good way to say that.
It's just a mirror.
Yeah.
So.
But that's okay, because you can always come to like terms and come to like a good place with yourself and your reflection in your mirror, which is your life.
Exactly. To bring it back to just like our final thought on trusting the process is knowing that this life is for you, and you have all the tools that you need deep within yourself. And if the universe feels like you can add a little more perspective here, and here's a little practice there, and these are some new people with deepening perspectives to share with you that you can adapt and like apply to your life, then take note of that and really take that with gratitude as just like an opportunity to continue to grow, to continue to expand, to continue to strengthen your trust and your faith
and your
muscle. And to continue to be authentic in who you are,
I like that.
in all of your actions, all of your thoughts, all of your behaviors, all of your interactions, all of your reactions, so that you can continue to elevate not only yourself, but everything around you, everyone around you, every experience that you go into, whether you know how it's going to turn out or not. Trust that you got it. The universe has your back. God has your back. Your angels got your back. Like, you are fully supported, and you have love on your side. You have loved ones who care for you, who want you to succeed, who want the best for you, who don't judge you, and you have so much opportunity to continue to be great.
Yeah, and it's no rush.
No
it's okay to
rush.
not know something right now. It's okay to not be at the other side of the lesson just yet, or the other side of the experience just yet. That's all good.
Yeah. Trust the process. Don't rush the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could dig it though. Trust the process. Don't rush the process. You gotta have it like do one of those things.
Trust the process. Don't rush the process. So that concludes this episode of Tub Talk Tuesday with Schmenna
and Half Moon Bay.
Thank you, Barry, for being on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. If any of you who have watched this whole thing have found this video helpful, or I just hope that you found it helpful, or that it resonates and it can offer some insight into how to just trust your process, trust your journey, and know that all will work out. Feel free to leave any feedback in the comments below, or share it with a friend, or just take everything, write it in here and keep it with you, and then go spread that magic in just your own existence. And that's all I can ask for.
Cool.
So
okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Till next time.